If you're thinking about building a cattle panel greenhouse, or any greenhouse for that matter, I'd like to help you figure out the best place in your yard to put it. I live on a small city lot that's about 50 by 100 feet, so I don't have a lot of options, but I did have a few. Do you dream of using your greenhouse as an extension of your house? Wandering out there multiple times a day to smell the flowers, drink some tea, do a little work? Maybe you dream of a greenhouse filled with strawberries and salad greens, and you want to be able to walk out there and pick your lunch. If so, you're going to want your greenhouse close to your house. Or do you dream of a secluded getaway, away from family, away from neighbors, with complete privacy? Maybe you want your greenhouse to be at the back of your property, possibly behind a garage or a barn even. There you can tend to your orchid garden or your cactus garden in complete privacy. Or maybe you want both, and in that case, then maybe you need two greenhouses. I would have two if I had the room. Number 2, proximity to water. Your plants are going to need a lot of water. They're going to need it frequently. And believe me, it gets really old carrying water cans from the spigot to the greenhouse and back, even if it's not that far away. What I ended up doing was putting a yard butler right outside the door of my greenhouse so that I can attach a hose from my spigot to the yard butler and then another hose from my yard butler right into my greenhouse. And just the ease of use has really made a big difference. So make sure you think about where your water is relative to where your greenhouse might be. Number 3, proximity of your greenhouse to your garden. So if you plan to use your greenhouse for a potting shed or to put seedlings out there in the spring, it'll be really convenient and nice if it's right next to your raised beds or your garden and you don't have to go far. It's also pretty fun to incorporate your garden design so that you can have paths leading to it and paths leading around it. Number 4 is proximity to electricity. Now you may or may not use electricity in your greenhouse, but I would highly recommend that you have access to it for 2 very important reasons. You will want a fan with any style of greenhouse in order to keep the air circulating, which keeps the plants healthy. The second reason is for lights. I love having lights out in my greenhouse, especially during the fall when I can use it to extend the light and keep working out in the greenhouse as the days get shorter. But also in the winter, I love looking out and seeing the lights out there. So the best spot for my greenhouse in my yard happened to be right next to my detached garage, which does have electricity. So I've run an outdoor rated extension cord from my garage to the greenhouse, and I have it plugged into a smart plug so I can control it from my phone. You don't have to run electricity directly to your greenhouse. Just an extension cord like I'm using works just fine. Now those are the 2 main reasons, but there are more. So you may want to heat your greenhouse during the winter. I don't heat mine, but you may want electricity for that either now or in the future. And consider that you might want to go out and work on your laptop, maybe make a green smoothie. So if you have the option to put your greenhouse someplace that has access to electricity, it'll be a good idea for whatever you want to do in the future. Number 5 is proximity to trees. So it just so happens for my greenhouse that I live in an older neighborhood and there are a ton of mature trees around. So mine is partially under a very large oak tree and a very large maple tree, and they do provide shade during the day. So it changes from August to April, there's a difference, and it changes from morning to night. The back part of my greenhouse, it's only 12 feet long, but the back part does get shade a good part of the day, and I put shade-loving plants back there. The front part of the greenhouse gets sun for a good part of the day, and I'm able to put some different plants up there. But being close to large trees like that does mean that I get falling sticks on my greenhouse. Now again, this really was my only spot that made sense for me to put it, so I'd rather have a greenhouse and deal with the sticks than not have a greenhouse at all. So several times during the year, I get some small sticks that puncture the plastic and I repair it with some outdoor rated clear tape, and it really is pretty easy, pretty unnoticeable. I don't mind it at all, but that is something to consider. Number 6 is the direction that your greenhouse faces. So whether your greenhouse faces north, south, east, or west does make a difference. If you have the option to face your greenhouse in any direction, consider that you want the sun to shine on the long side of the greenhouse for as many hours of the day as you can. So if your greenhouse faces east, That side will get the morning sun, and then the sun will move across the greenhouse throughout the day. And the south side of your greenhouse will generally receive the most sun unless it's blocked by a large tree or another structure that is shading it. So about my greenhouse, it is on the north side of my house, which is not ideal. And during the winter, when the sun is lower in the sky, not much light reaches the greenhouse. Now, I'm not trying to grow during the winter, so it's not a big deal. You can consider creating a sun map if you want to see where the sun lands during your yard at different times of the day and for how long. So what I recommend and what I did, which was a lot of fun, is on the hour, every hour, starting at 8 a.m., I went out and I stood at certain points around my yard and I snapped a picture. I made sure I took the exact same picture and the exact same spot every time, but at 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way up until about 6 o'clock at night, I took a picture, and it was really fun to see how the sun moved during the day and how the shadows moved, and it really helped me plan my garden to know which flowers were going to have the best chance of doing, the best in each area. And number 7 is windbreaks. So if you live on a prairie or a wide open plain, you are going to have high winds coming through, and that could be an issue. So along with anchoring your greenhouse to the ground and probably wanting to put it on a foundation, you can consider windbreaks to help protect your greenhouse from these high winds. So for me, again, I'm in the city and the greenhouse is bordered on one side by my garage, and then on all of the other 3 sides, there is either a fence within, I would say 30 or 40 feet, or my house. And so I have those windbreaks already. But if you have a wide open field, you can consider constructing just a 8 or 12-foot fence on the side that gets the most wind, or you could plant a hedge of trees that will provide some other shelter. And number 8 is ground level. When you're considering where to put your greenhouse, it's easiest, of course, on a flat piece of land, but it can be done on a slope if that's what you've got to work with. So I recommend doing some Googling and doing some looking up on YouTube to find people who have built a greenhouse or a shed on a slope. I did a quick search and I found a few that had some great tutorials to help you figure out how you can go ahead and build that. So that gives you a whole lot of information about where to put your greenhouse, but ultimately, I feel like wherever you choose to put it, you can make it work with whatever you have. Check out my other videos for more information on shade, ventilation, and floor.